Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, the National Pledge. Honorable members, at the commencement of public business, honorable members, the House is extremely privileged to have the presence of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces in this August chamber. His Excellency the President is here in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to deliver a message on the state of the nation to this honorable House. On behalf of leadership and all honorable members, it is my privilege and singular honor to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic to this august House. This is the House of Parliament. This is the House of the people. This is the House of accountability. And this is the House of democracy. Honorable members, before I invite His Excellency the President to deliver the message in the State of the Nation, I want, with your kind permission, to recognize the presence in this chamber of the following distinguished personalities. We have Her Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. We also have His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Honorable members, order, please. Honorable members, we also have His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia. We have in our presence Her Excellency, the Second Lady, Haja Samira Bawumia. Surely, honorable members, surely we have the spouse of the Speaker, Her Excellency, honorable members, we have the spouse of the Speaker, Her Excellency Alice Adjoa Jonas. Honorable members, we have Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Tokonu. We have the beloved spouse of the Chief Justice, Mr. Francis Kofi Tokonu. Honorable members, we have our revered Chairman of the Council of State, Nana Otio Sribwa II. And we have the Chief of Staff, the Chief of Staff, as you all know, is in charge of the whole family of the Right Honorable Speaker, Madame Frema Opare. We have His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Honorable members, honorable members. Can we finish? Can we continue? Honorable members, honorable members. Honorable members, when honorable members, when the speaker is on his feet, everybody else is seated and quiet. that is Parliament. Please, this is the former sitting of Parliament, and all the rules apply. I will not be tempted, and I resist it, to start enforcing some of the rules. I know this is election year, but my words can deselect a lot of you. So please, my words on this chair can deselect a lot of you. Kindly take note and let's proceed. As I mentioned, is the former president of the Republic of Ghana. We have in our midst Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, the former First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. We have the Right Honorable Michael Aaron Okoye, the former Speaker of Parliament, my predecessor. We have the National Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, in the person of Mr. Stephen Ayensu Intim. We also have the National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia. We have the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Justin Frimpong Kodua. And we also have the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Fifi Fiave Kweti. We have the veteran former clerk to Parliament, Mr. Samuel N. Dakwa. They started it all even before independence. He was in the Legislative Council, and they supported the late KB Ayensu to establish the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. We have another former clerk to Parliament, my own brother, Mr. Emmanuel Kwesi Anyimedu. We have the heads of our security agencies and our esteemed chiefs, queens, and queen mothers. We have our most revered religious leaders and the dean and members of the diplomatic corps. We have our development partners with us and representatives of various civil society organizations. And definitely, we have our partners, our dependable partners, members of the media. Honorable members, with your kind permission, I may have to end here by acknowledging all the dignitaries and distinguished invited guests with us here. I now have the greatest pleasure in inviting His Excellency the President to deliver his message. Your Excellency, you may deliver your message now.
Mr. Speaker, it is always exhilarating to be back in Parliament and to discharge the duty in fulfillment of Article 67 of the Constitution of delivering to the House a message on the state of the nation on this occasion for the penultimate time. I have one more still to give. In accordance with protocol and convention, it is good to see that First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, the spouse of Mr. Speaker Alice Ajua Jonas, Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and justices of the Supreme Court, representative of the chairperson and members of the Council of State, the new Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Thomas Opon-Pepra, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, and service chiefs are all present, as are the Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Mr. Speaker, the House is also duly honored by the welcome attendance of the former President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and former First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to be able to report that the entire territory that makes up our nation is safe, secure, and under the control of the government and people of Ghana. This might sound like a pedestrian statement with which can no longer take the territorial integrity of our countries for granted. Indeed, many of our neighbors have already fallen victim and lost large portions of their territories to extremist groups. And Ghana, by the grace of the Almighty, is the only coastal state along the Gulf of Guinea that has so far not recorded a terrorist attack. The Speaker, the peace and security we have in our country has not happened by chance. It has taken deliberate policy and planning on the part of government and a lot of hard work and dedication on the part of our security services to keep our country safe and secure. I might add that it has also meant that we've had to spend a lot of money that would have otherwise have been available of the state towards its citizens is to provide and guarantee peace and security, and we're doing just that. Since we came into office, we've ensured a significant expansion of the armed forces and all the other security agencies. We're paying diligent attention to their welfare as well. The accommodation and physical environment generally of the security agencies are being improved. We've quickened the pace of the retooling and equipping of the security agencies to ensure readiness towards the emerging security threats. For the majority of us, in our everyday activities, it is the security of our streets and homes and communities that concern us most. We want our children and grandchildren to grow up in a safe atmosphere, and the Ghana Police Service played the lead role in this. Again, government has performed most creditably. The police are much better equipped than they have ever been, and their increased visibility on the streets goes a long way to reassure the community. The changing image of the police is perhaps best in the frontage of the police headquarters on the Ring Road in Accra. It is beautiful, and I recommend it to all institutions and indeed households. Whilst we're spending time, money, and energy and lives keeping the country safe from external dangers, I must add that it is a matter of great concern that we continue to have so many chieftaincy and land disputes around the country, which tend to be breeding grounds for internal tensions and destabilization. Mr. Speaker, I must make special mention of the troubles in Boko. The tragedy is not only that a thriving and dynamic town is being reduced to a wasteland of destruction and distrust. We're spending money and energy that would have been better spent on development needs of Boko, providing security to keep brothers and sisters from killing each other. Mr. Speaker, what should concern all of us, and not just the people of Boko, is that in its current state, Boko is an alluring magnet to mischief makers and extremists operating a few kilometers away from the border, emanating from the Boko conflict. Government is determined to do all it can to ensure that there's security in every inch of the territory of our country. But it is also very much up to the citizens to help create the needed atmosphere. And I'm thus appealing to all citizens, all Ghanaians, to take the See Something, Say Something campaign of the Ministry of National Security very seriously. There is indeed, Mr. Speaker, a state of palpable anxiety and tension in every corner of West Africa, raising the specter of regional instability, which we thought had been banished. Unconstitutional changes in government in parts of Africa, especially in West Africa, through a series of coups d'etats and military interventions in governance, testify to an unfortunate democratic regression in the region. It is in the interest of democratic growth that this development is reversed as soon as possible, and we in Ghana continue to give maximum support to ECOWAS, the regional body of West Africa, and the AU, Africa's continental organization, in their efforts to restore democratic institutions in the affected nations. We must help stem the tide of this unwelcome evolution and help entrench democracy in West Africa. We believe also that a reform of the global governance architecture, such as the Security Council of the United Nations, to make it more representative and accountable, will help strengthen global peace and stability, and thereby help consolidate democratic rule around the world. Mr. Speaker, we in Ghana have had our fair share of political instability and experimentation about how we should govern ourselves. There might be new names being ascribed to some of the supposed new ideas being canvassed by some today. But I dare say on close examination, we will discover that they are not new. We have tried them here, and they have failed. We know about all-powerful, cannot-be-questioned messiahs. We know about liberators, and we know about redeemers and deities in military uniform. It might sound new to some, but those of us who have been around for a while have heard the argument made passionately that democracy was not a suitable form of government if we wanted rapid development. It is a tired argument that was regularly used by apologists for coup d'etats. It's also not new to have political parties and politics in general being denigrated. Indeed, there used to be national campaigns of fear waged against politics and political parties. It took time, and it took long battles, but in the end, a consensus did emerge, and we opted for a multi-party democratic form of government under the Constitution which ushered in the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, it is not a perfect document. Constitutions do not ever pretend to be. But it has served us well these past 32 years, considering where we have come from. It is a sacred document that should not be tampered with lightly. But I hasten to add, our Constitution did not descend from heaven. We Ghanaians drew it up to serve our needs, and we can amend it to suit our changing needs and circumstances. We should work towards finding a consensus on the changes that the majority of Ghanaians want made to the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, democracies are founded on elections, and the holding of free and credible elections ensure that people have confidence in the government that emerges at the end of the process. The honorable members of this House, who are at the center of it all, know more than the rest of us that this is an election year. The increased decibel level in all communications will ensure that even the most politically uninterested person among us would know that on December 7th, we shall be going to the polls to elect a new president and new members of parliament. A lot of the responsibility lies on the Electoral Commission to put the organization in place that will ensure that we have credible elections. The government is doing its part to make the work of the Electoral Commission go smoothly. A lot of responsibility lies on the political parties as well, and I hope that the parties recognize that their credibility is also on the line, especially with some people wanting to of government. of justice. This past year, magistrate, the new justices of the Supreme 29 Circuit Court judges, 260 of the human resource the newly established courts have been appointed to the Supreme Court from the court. We've made unprecedented progress for 2020 courthouses with residents. As of 31st January 2020, houses had been successful at various sites around the country. For 2024, of completion. May 2024. In units throughout the country, fully furnished 4-bedroom units being constructed for justices digitalization process of the courts to modernize the entire system. The judicial service, digitalization is operations and access to justice. The court system was COVID-19 pandemic to ensure the continuity of business. The virtual court system was also rolled out to 17 courts, then subsequently to 19 high courts for the smooth hearing of court cases. By the end of December 2023, 160 courts had been equipped with devices for the real-time transcription of cases, in addition to 51 courts piloting the paperless court system in Accra. The integration of real-time transcription devices in 160 courts has revolutionized the way in which court proceedings are recorded and documented. The service is rolling out a comprehensive digitalization of the court system. The Attorney General has continued in a very effective manner the tradition under this administration of contesting every single litigation against the state, and has avoided the numerous judgment debts that used to be given against the state. The Office of the Attorney General, as a result, has saved the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. All the evidence is there. I shall be performing a pleasant duty in a few weeks' time when I commission the Law House, the 12-story office building which will house the offices of the Attorney General and the Ministry, and finally bring to an end the age-old office accommodation problem. I must declare a personal interest in it, as the building was started when I was Attorney General in the government of President John Agyekum Kufuor back in 2001. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge and share the frustration and deep disappointment we all have that a convergence of events and fate have conspired to place impediments on the path of the rapid development trajectory we were on. I'm proud that in spite of the dramatic financial crisis that we encountered in 2021, whose worst effects became manifest in 2022, the transformative measures we introduced in the first 4 years of office make it possible to showcase an impressive array of developmental projects across the length and breadth of the country. I do not intend to go through the long, even if interesting process of enumerating the projects the Akufo-Addo government has undertaken since coming into office, their location, and what stage of completion they are in. Mr. Speaker, with the best will in the world, there simply will not be the time to do that, even if we spend all day here. It will be recalled that last year, during the message on the state of the nation, faced with a similar problem about road projects, I came to the House armed with a fat book that had the details of the road projects around the country, and all honorable members were given copies to go through at their own leisure. I haven't had anybody point out one. This year, we're taking things to a higher level. This government, after all, is the digitalization government. And the man who has led the entire digitalization process these past 7 years my indefatigable vice president, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Dr. Digitalization, the MPP's excellent presidential candidate for the 2024 election, is coming out with what will allow everyone and everybody and anyone to check on every project being undertaken by the government without having to listen to the president's message on the state of the nation. We are calling it the performance tracker. You can check and satisfy yourself about the status of the projects and their location. And you could stop by and make a physical inspection if you were so minded. Mr. Speaker, if you want to check on roads, classroom blocks or chip compounds or Agenda 111 hospitals, or bridges, or science laboratories, or water projects or sanitation projects, or landing sites and harbors, and other infrastructural projects, or whatever this government use your tax money to execute, the key to your query is right there on your phone. Mr. Speaker, the performance tracker will be formally launched in March, and I'm offering it as the device which will help bring accountability into your hands. With the performance tracker, we can be sure that never again will pictures of an artist's impression be offered as projects that have been completed. I'm able to recommend the performance tracker in the sure knowledge that the Akufo-Addo government has done more in education in terms of student enrollment, teacher training and employment, provision of infrastructure than any government. We have similarly done more in health, agriculture, security, roads, railways, tourism, digitalization than any other government. Thanks to the performance tracker, the president no longer has to go through lists. And I have the confidence to say that every performance indicator used shows we have done more in these 7 years than in any of the 8 years under the National Democratic Congress. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, on coming into office 7 years ago, my government took the decision, as we promised, to modernize and formalize the economy through digitalization. In this regard, we have embarked on one of the most far-reaching Mr. Speaker, come what may, I will have my day in Hansard. I will have my day in Hansard. Come what may. Believe you me. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, on coming into office 7 years ago, my government took the decision, as we promised, to modernize and formalize the economy through digitalization. In this regard, we have embarked on one of the most far-reaching digitalization exercises in Africa. Up from the figure of 900,000 which we inherited when we came into office in 2017, we have thus far enrolled 17.6 million on the Ghana card, and therefore provided unique biometric identity to the majority of Ghanaians. We've also implemented a digital property address system with unique addresses for all properties in Ghana. Furthermore, through the implementation of mobile money interoperability, we've also provided access to financial services for adult Ghanaians through mobile money accounts that are interoperable with bank accounts. Ghana is now ranked #1 in Africa in terms of access to financial inclusion. We have digitalized the provision of public services at the ports, DVLA, NHIS, GRA, births and deaths, Registrar of Companies, ECG, Ghana Water, amongst others. Ghana is ranked #1 in West Africa and #7 in Africa in e-governance. We have also implemented the use of drones in the delivery of medicines, blood, and vaccines. And Ghana currently runs the world's largest medical drone delivery service. We have also networked all teaching regional and district hospitals, and patient records can easily be accessed in these hospitals without the need for a folder. Ghana is making giant strides in the area of digitalization, thereby improving transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the public sector and accelerating the growth of our economy. We are definitely going to be part of the digital revolution that is sweeping the world. Mr. Speaker, last year when I came to the House to deliver the annual message on the state of the nation, we were in the midst of negotiations with the International Monetary Fund. We were faced with a very difficult situation and had to take a lot of unpleasant but unavoidable measures to bring stability and confidence back to the economy. These included tax measures that we did not like, but we knew we had to take in the knowledge that the medicine will be bitter but temporary. Mr. Speaker, a year ago, I also stated the decision to undertake a comprehensive debt restructuring of our domestic and external debt to ensure we remain resolute in our objective to restore macroeconomic stability and sustainable growth. The decision was not an easy one, considering the complex and diverse domestic debt landscape. We had to consider safeguarding the financial sector, preserving social and economic conditions, and protecting our domestic debt market. A year on, I'm happy to inform you, Mr. Speaker, that we have made significant progress. We requested an unprecedented number of bondholders to participate in a voluntary exchange, and we were able to exchange successfully some 203 billion cedis worth of bonds. Not only was the exchange successful, but it helped us to secure within 5 months the shortest possible time in recent debt restructuring history, a staff-level agreement to an executive board agreement with the IMF. My gratitude goes to all financial sector players, organized labor, firms, regulatory institutions, and all individuals who made this painful exercise successful. Mr. Speaker, as you may recall, government successfully paid the first coupon of 2.3 billion cedis on the new bonds on 22nd August 2023. At the time, that was the single biggest payout of domestic payments in a single day for Ghana. We then paid 2 billion and 60 million cedis for the last leg of the domestic debt exchange on 5th September 2023. A week ago last Tuesday, on 20th February 2024, the second coupon of 5.8 billion cedis was paid to domestic bondholders. This is the largest coupon paid in a day in Ghana's history. On the external debt side, we achieved a significant milestone by reaching an agreement with our public creditors. And I'll use this occasion to express our appreciation to the Republic of France and the People's Republic of China, co-chairs of the Official Creditors Committee, for their positive roles in this achievement. We have also intensified our engagement with our external bondholders on the principles of transparency, fair treatment, consistency with the IMF debt sustainability analysis, and good faith. We are focused and committed to accelerating the process. Mr. Speaker, we're committed to concluding the external debt restructuring process as soon as possible, so we move past the crisis. This will enable us to complete substantially projects that have been constrained due to financial challenges. In the meantime, some of the priority projects have been transferred onto the GOG budget with the same fiscal space to ensure their completion. This will enable the Kumasi International Airport, with some 98% complete, to be completed by May. Other projects like the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, CATH, maternity block in Kumasi, the Takoradi Interchange, the Beche-Bilamti Interchange in Accra, the University of Environment Sustainable Development Project at Bunso in the Eastern Region, Phase 2 of the construction of roads in Tamale, And the construction of the 84-kilometer railway line between Tema and Nakosombo would also be completed. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to announce that an alternative source of funding has also been secured for the reconstruction and completion of La Hospital project as a fully functional modern hospital with the necessary equipment for diagnosis and treatment. The contractor has been paid an advance mobilization of 15%, representing some 7.5 million United States dollars, and work has begun. The project commenced effectively in January this year and will be completed in 28 months. Mr. Speaker, it is important to underline that the recent change in the leadership of the Finance Ministry will not affect government's determined commitment to implementing the terms agreed with the IMF to ensure that we restore the economy to healthy growth as soon as possible. Indeed, the macroeconomy was much stronger at the end of 2023 than in 2022. Inflation, which peaked at 54.4% in December 2022, has reduced to 23.5% in January 2025. Real GDP growth for the first 3 quarters of 2023 averaged 2.8%, higher than the targeted growth rate of 1.5% for 2023. The CD has been largely stable since February 2023, with a cumulative depreciation of 9% between February and December 2023. Gross international reserves reflected a significant buildup of over 5.9 billion United States dollars, enough to cover 2.7 months of import of goods and services. The current account turned positive at 1.4% of GDP at the end of September 2023, from negative 2.1% at the end of December 2022. Generally, the macroeconomic indicators are once again all pointing in the right direction. I should point out that in all our discussions with the fund, a paramount consideration has been to ensure that the poor and vulnerable do not bear the brunt of the sacrifices that have to be made. Programs like LEAP, school feeding and capitation grant have been protected and indeed enhanced. Mr. Speaker, right from the start of this government coming into office, we have sought to place the maximum effort on the education and training of the youth as the base for building the prosperous nation we seek. A foreign statesman once posed the question, and I quote, "Why am I the first member of my parliament in 1,000 generations to have gone to the university?" Unquote. In the past 7 years, I've met many people, young and old, across the country who have told me about the first person in their families, in their communities, to have gone to senior high school. They might well ask the question, why are they the first boy or girl in their family to have gone to senior high school? The answer is not far-fetched. Not being able to go to secondary school for lack of money was so widespread an accepted phenomenon that it led to some people thinking senior high school was not meant for them or their children or for people from their village. And therefore, a child in the family finishing junior school and moving on to senior high school was simply not factored in their expectations. Mr. Speaker, free SHS might be labeled by its detractors as a mere political slogan that must be demonized. But it is, in fact, a transformative program that has broken myths and liberated minds. It is humbling on one hand and frightening on the other to think of the sheer number of talents the free SHS has unearthed that would otherwise have ended their formal education at BECE. I know we will get more engineers, doctors, architects, scientists, writers, and poets out of the increased numbers of those attending senior high school who will go into further education. Even if they stop at high school, at senior high school, imagine what 1 million more secondary school educated young people will do to our self-confidence and the value of our workforce. That alone makes free SHS worthwhile. I'm proud that the MPP government under my leadership has been able to bring this transformative policy into our education system. Mr. Speaker, I believe the success of the free SHS policy has answered its critics, and the arguments about it should cease, and we should simply concentrate on finding ways to improve it. I'm particularly glad that the fears about lowering of standards have been allayed. Refreshingly, we witnessed through the 2023 batch of free SHS students the best WACC results in over a decade. Mr. Speaker, there's more to education than free SHS, and government has been paying equal attention to all the other sectors. Kindergarten, primary school, and junior high school must work together to give a solid foundation and strengthen the free SHS policy. The implementation of various programs, such as the capitation grant, feeding grants to special schools, BEC registration for pupils in public junior high schools, among others, have significantly increased access to education at the basic level. The focus of the comprehensive reforms within the sector has been to improve learning outcomes and ensure every child that goes through our education system is equipped with literacy and numeracy skills by the time they exit primary 6. A national standardized test for numeracy and reading skills is now being conducted at primary 4. Unfortunately, quite a number of children still manage to slip out of the net and miss going to school altogether or drop out at primary school. The Ministry of Education partnered with key development allies to launch an innovative financing program called the Ghana Educational Outcome Project, GEOP. The goal of GEOP is to provide educational support to 72,000 out-of-school children, helping them access complementary education and transition into formal schools. I'm happy to report that 17,340 out-of-school children have been taken through the program and mainstreamed into formal schools in 2023. This program has worked so well, it won the GovTech Prize Award in February 2024 at the World Government Summit held in Dubai. Government has remained committed to improving the teaching and learning of STEM education at the pre-tertiary level. Key interventions have included increasing our ability to produce STEM professionals and also meeting 21st century skills. Accordingly, the curriculum has been overhauled to include STEM career pathways such as aviation and aerospace science, biomedical science, engineering, computer science, manufacturing, robotics, and artificial intelligence. Government has also increased its investment in infrastructure for science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, STEM education at the pre-tertiary level. The construction of 10 STEM schools and 10 STEM centers has commenced across the country, with 7 STEM model schools having been operationalized. These schools have been equipped with state-of-the-art laboratories and classrooms, dormitories, assembly halls, dining halls, and conducive environments to foster teaching and learning. The operationalized schools have a total enrollment at present of 2,400 students reading general science and STEM. Mr. Speaker, in recognizing the critical role of technical and universal and vocational education and training in the country's industrialization agenda, the government continued implementing key reforms in the TVET space, including the expansion of the free senior high school program to include students in public TVET institutes. Mr. Speaker, a lot of resources has gone into the provision of infrastructure at all levels of the educational system, but a lot remains to be done. Many basic schools require more adequate classrooms and furniture, and the environment in some of these schools can be made more suitable for learning and teaching. Some of the senior high schools, especially the community schools recently absorbed into the former GES structure, lack the facilities that these established schools take for granted. We must all express our gratitude to the teachers in such schools who manage, in spite of the difficulties, to bring out the best in their students and sometimes succeed in achieving great results. They exemplify the best in the Ghanaian and give us hope for the future. Indeed, the one tablet per student policy at the senior high school level is being rolled out and will formally be launched by me next month. It is a great tool to help bridge the gap between disadvantaged and privileged students. Mr. Speaker, free SHS and our no guarantor policy under the Student Loan Trust Fund are breaking down financial barriers for students seeking higher education by eliminating the requirement for a guarantor. To pursue educational increase in education. And it is in response to this increase, the government has decided to establish 4 new universities in Mampong in the Ashanti region, Akrodia in the Bono region, Bonsu in the eastern region, and Kintapo in the Bono East region, and expand the facilities in existing ones. We're pursuing interventions towards achieving by 2030 the 40% gross tertiary enrollment ratio, up from the current level of 18.8%, as well as the 60-40 science to humanities ratio from the current one of 40 to 60, as captured in the Education Strategic Plan of 2018 to 2030. Mr. Speaker, between 2012 and early 2017, there was nothing more demoralizing than the phenomenon we called doomsday. It was symptomatic of a dysfunctional system, and it caused widespread depression amongst businesses and households. After that experience, my government was determined that doomsday would not be inflicted upon government, upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. Shouts will not wish doomsday away in our history. It will not. After that experience, my government was determined that doomsday would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. And I'm glad to be able to say, so far, so good. We've managed to keep the lights on these last 7 years, even in the midst of a financial crisis. We've managed the energy sector with discipline and expertise to avoid a repetition of the hardships inflicted on Ghanaians some years ago. Furthermore, Through determined, skillful negotiation, we have been able to reduce considerably the energy sector debt that we inherited. Indeed, the government negotiating team carried out a successful reconciliation exercise with the IPPs and ECG, which established that the IPP arrears position was not the $1.6 billion that had been previously reported in the media, but was actually $1.2 billion. That is savings of some $400 million. Additionally, the government negotiating team has reached commercial agreements on headline terms for the restructuring of power purchase agreements and arrears with AXA, Amandi, SenPower, Senate, and Early Power, and is finalizing remaining definitive documentation of such terms, which will result in total expected savings in excess of $9.1 billion over the lifespan of the IPP projects. In the meantime, ECG has been able to secure a fixed monthly energy purchase price with all the IPPs. This has led to a monthly payment of $43 million United States dollars instead of the $77 million United States dollars. That is monthly savings of $34 million, or a 44% reduction in monthly payments, a far better outcome than the take-or-pay system we inherited. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to report that we're making admirable progress in the provision of electricity to all parts of the country. Last year, 207 communities were connected to the grid, taking the current national access rate, electricity access rate, to 88.85%. We are aiming to achieve universal access this year by connecting an additional 400 communities to the national grid under the self-help electrification program and other turnkey projects. As part of efforts to improve power system reliability in the middle and northern parts of Ghana, government took a decision to relocate the 250 megawatt Ameri plant from Abuazi to Anwamaso in Kumasi. The Volta River Authority has successfully relocated 6 units of the Ameri plant with capacity of 150 megawatts, which are currently being tested and commissioned in Kumasi. The authority is taking steps to relocate the remaining 4 units before the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, we're also making steady progress in our commitment to increase the component of renewable energy to our energy generation mix. A 4 megawatt floating solar PV on the Bui Reservoir, as well as the 15 megawatt solar PV at Kaleo, have been completed and both are operational. They have contributed to increasing our share of solar energy in the generation mix to 3.2%. A 100 megawatt solar PV is under construction at Bui, as is the mini-grid electrification program ongoing in the Adan East District, all of which will help us attain our target of 10% renewable energy in our generation mix by 2030. Mr. Speaker, furthermore, we have committed ourselves to the development of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. As I indicated at the U.S.-Africa Nuclear Energy Summit and the International Framework for Nuclear Energy Cooperation Ministerial Conference held in Accra in November last year, the first of its kind in Africa, our energy transition plan envisages 30% of our electricity production to be from nuclear energy by 2070, which is the core mandate of the Ghana Nuclear Power Program Organization, GNPPO, an entity under the Office of the President. This strong commitment and position are geared towards the provision of clean and affordable electricity to drive our industrialization agenda. It is also meant to position Ghana as a net power exporter in the ECOWAS region through the West African Power Pool. Mr. Speaker, we have also succeeded in having the Secretariat of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, CVF, an intergovernmental forum of 58 of the most climate vulnerable countries, representing some 1.4 billion people located in Accra. Mr. Speaker, we have all heard about the Gold for Oil program. It has been explained, debated, and talked about. At this moment, all I want to say about it is that the Gold for Oil program has worked well and reduced significantly forex pressures on bulk energy storage, transportation, and bulk imports. Distribution and export companies enable them to negotiate more competitive premiums with suppliers. Premiums dropped from $180 to $200 per metric ton to $70 per metric ton or less. This also resulted in reduced and stabilized prices at the pumps of between 12 to 13 cedis per liter for the whole of 2023. We're taking steps to rectify some of the handicaps that have limited the full participation of Ghanaians in the oil and gas industry. For years, the well-paid jobs in the industry were taken exclusively by foreign nationals because we did not have people qualified in these fields. Last year, 150 young Ghanaians were trained and certified as mechanical maintenance technicians, electrical technicians, instrumentation technicians, and production process technicians up to the industry standards. Additionally, 5 young Ghanaians underwent a 10-month welding inspector training program at the North Alberta Institute of Technology in Canada. They have since been placed in various technical institutions in Ghana as instructors. Ghanaians will soon fill the well-paid positions on our oil fields because we have the trained and qualified personnel. Things are looking up. Mr. Speaker, it is quite likely that the most talked about subject in our country is roads and highways. When I appeared in the House last year, as I said earlier, I took the extraordinary step of coming with a fat book that detailed all the works that the government had done and was doing on roads since coming to office in 2017. I believe it was generally agreed that it was impressive, but it was not enough to satisfy everyone. Well, the work continues, even though some of the major road works have been temporarily interrupted as a result of the debt negotiation. As I've said earlier, all the details will be available on the performance tracker. Other modes of movement around the country are being built and upgraded to open up the country and make travel easier. Mr. Speaker, the new standard gauge railway line from the port of Tema to Mapakadai in the Asiojaman district, of the eastern region, covering a distance of some 100 kilometers, is at the final stage of completion. By the middle of the year, the line will be commissioned for operations to commence with brand new standard gauge diesel multiple unit trains, the first of their kind to be used in our country. It is worth mentioning that a rail bridge is being built across the Volta as part of this railway line. I have no doubt it will attract a lot of interest. I'm a great believer in the importance of aesthetics as much as the practical. And that is why I encourage the constructors to construct the railway bridge, which was not a part of the original contract, across the Volta to make the journey more scenic. Nearly made me choke on my glass of water. Extraordinary statement to make. The development is on course of a new standard gauge Western Railway line to serve passengers, the mining sector, as well as support industrialization to boost the development and growth of this nation. The plans for the extension of the railway line to Paga might not materialize during the rest of my administration, but I'm sure they will not be abandoned. Mr. Speaker, there's no argument that food self-sufficiency is the basic requirement for national security and the foundation for building a prosperous nation. Last year, government reviewed the Planting for Food and Jobs, PFJ program, which had been implemented since 2019. Based on lessons learned, government developed and launched under the dynamic leadership of the new Minister for Food and Agriculture, everybody who knows me knows I don't drink alcohol. Last year, government reduced the Planting for Food and Jobs program, which had been implemented since 2017. Based on lessons learned, government developed and launched under the dynamic leadership of the new Minister for Food and Agriculture, the second phase of the PFJ. The second phase of the PFJ sets out a 5-year agenda to ensure food self-sufficiency and resilience. Strategic targets have been set for 11 priority products in the immediate term, September to December 2023. Short term, year 2024. Medium term, 2025-2026. And the long term, 2026-2028. The selected products are maize, rice, soybeans, sorghum, tomato, pepper, onion, cassava, yam, plantain, and poultry. So I'm happy to report the production estimates for these priority products reveal that the planned targets for the year have been exceeded for all the products except poultry. Poultry obviously requires extra attention. And that is exactly what we're doing. We have every intention of meeting the domestic production targets for poultry this year, 2024, and moving on to production levels that will lead to reduction in poultry imports. We envisage a vigorous cooperation between government and the private sector to achieve the set target. Mr. Speaker, the surest way of making agriculture attractive to young people is to take the drudgery out of farming. And government is continuing to make agricultural machinery and equipment easily available. Under the third and final tranche of the Brazil More Food program, tractors with accompanying implements, power tillers with accessories, maize shellers, units of combined pharmacists and rice millers have been distributed to farmers, processors, and mechanization service providers on hire purchase agreement. This year, under the Indian Exim facility, tractors with matching implements, planters, boom sprayers, combine harvesters, and corn pickers will also be made available. Mr. Speaker, having determined that large-scale commercial farming is the easiest way to achieve our set goal of food self-sufficiency, government under the second phase of the PFJ will establish agricultural zones as a complementary initiative to address the issue of access to large tracts of agricultural land, to drive sustainable and commercially oriented agriculture. This will significantly expand Ghana's productive capacity in products such as rice, soybean, maize, and tomato. Indeed, between 2021 and 2023, rice imports fell by some 45%. In 2021, rice imports amounted to 805,000 metric tons. In 2022, 650,000 metric tons. And in 2023, 450,000 metric tons. This healthy trajectory will continue until we achieve full sufficiency in rice production. For each agricultural zone, government will partner with the private sector to provide the necessary irrigation infrastructure, develop access roads, expand power, solar and hydro, and provide mechanization services. Various locations across the country with potential to be food baskets have been identified for the establishment of the agricultural zones. They include the Afram Plains, Chopoli, Kumawu, Kratchi, and Nkranza, amongst others. Mr. Speaker, we all witnessed a spectacular increment of the cocoa price from 800 cedis per bag to 1,300 cedis. To 1,300 cedis per bag in the current cocoa season, the highest increase in 50 years. With the current trend of the world cocoa price, cocoa farmers can be sure that I will do right by them in the next cocoa season. Mr. Speaker, government has begun the development of 7,100 hectares irrigation infrastructure in 5 identified economic enclaves within the Afram Plains agricultural zone. Work is also continuing towards the completion of the Temne Phase 3 extension and via irrigation schemes. This will make additional 1,150 acres of irrigable land available for cultivation of rice and vegetables. The Ghana Irrigation Development Authority will continue with the development of small earth dams in the northern, upper east, upper west, northeast, and savannah regions to support the One Village, One Dam initiative. Whilst at it, Mr. Speaker, we have not forgotten about the welfare and well-being of our fisher folk. My government has completed the construction of 12 coastal fish landing sites at Axim and Discove in the western region, Moray, Mountford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomwa-Fete, Otuam, and Infansiman in the central region, Kessi and Osu in the greater Accra region, and Kita in the Volta region. Additionally, I had the pleasure in May last year of commissioning the newly constructed Elmina Fishing Harbor in the central region, much against the hopes of the naysayers. And God willing, soon this year, I will also commission the Jamestown Fishing Harbor, which currently stands at 88% complete and is expected to be ready by August 2024. Mr. Speaker, to help address the incidence of premixed fuel diversion and hoarding, government last year completed the installation of 50 out of the 300 premixed fuel automated dispenser. My expectation is that the remaining automated dispensers will be installed by September this year to help optimize the distribution of premixed fuel. Government will continue to take decisive actions, such as the close season, to help safeguard the ocean's capacity to regenerate and to continue to deliver substantial economic, environmental, and social value for our development. Mr. Speaker, last year, Ghana regained her position as the leading producer of gold in Africa, having overtaken South Africa. Our gold production reached an unprecedented 4 million ounces, according to preliminary reports. This is as a result of the progressive policies we have been implementing, which have led to the revival of dormant mines like the Obuasi and Bibiani mines and the expansion of existing ones. The reduction in withholding tax on unprocessed gold by small-scale miners from 3% to 1.5% has resulted in some 900% increment in gold export from the small-scale sector over the last 2 years. Leveraging on these resources, we introduced the innovative gold for oil policy, which accounts for some 30% of our total crude oil consumption. Currently, 3 large-scale mines are under construction in Ahafo, Upper East and Upper West regions, with Cardinal Namdini set to pour its first gold in the Upper East region in the last quarter of this year. With these new nines, our gold production is expected to increase to some 4.5 million ounces annually. Mr. Speaker, to add value to these volumes of production, we have constructed through a public-private partnership a 400-kilogram capacity gold refinery, and we're in the final stages of negotiations for a London Bullion Market Association certificate. For our green minerals, including lithium, we have put in place a policy for their exploitation and management to ensure beneficiation across the value chain of these critical minerals. Mr. Speaker, as it has been widely reported, Newman Corporation, the world's largest gold-producing company, which operates 2 huge mines in our country and is constructing a third, has announced its intention to sell its Achim mine in the eastern region, the 3rd largest mine in the country, which produced some 420,000 ounces of gold in 2022. As part of government's policy to modernize the mining sector, to indigenize the mining sector, we will engage with Newmont to give priority to Ghanaian investors who will want to acquire this mine to ensure that our mineral resources better benefit the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, we continue to work to ensure the protection of our forests and wildlife resources while reclaiming degraded forests. Some 42 million trees have been planted over the last 3 years under the Green Ghana project, and some 690,000 hectares of degraded forests have been cultivated between 2017 and 2022 under the Ghana Forest Plantation Strategy. Mr. Speaker, the main cornerstone of our move towards the industrial transformation of Ghana is the One District, One Factory policy, this government's iconic flagship initiative. It demonstrates how government can stimulate and incentivize the private sector to expand and diversify manufacturing across the country by harnessing locally available raw materials. It is significant to note that within the relatively short span of 6 years, government has directly intervened to stimulate interest in and support many private sector business promoters to make significant investments in manufacturing under the One District, One Factory program. Mr. Speaker, this has led to the development of 321 IDF 1D1F projects consisting of 211 new medium to large-scale factories and the conscious enabling of 110 in existing companies to inject significant capital investments into the expansion of production facilities and diversification of products. These business promoters have so far invested in 142 districts across the country, across all 16 regions, and achieving 54% district coverage. The aspiration is to bring a 1D1F project to every district. Speaker, within this period, some 170,000 jobs have been created under the novel ID 1D1F program by companies in operation. The Speaker, government approved a number of incentives, including duty exemptions to support the implementation of the 1D1F program. In 2019 and 2020, 37 1D1F companies were granted exemptions approval by this august House. However, from 2021 to date, no exemptions have been granted. Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to consider and approve all the outstanding exemption applications as a matter of urgency. To send positive signals to the business community. The exemptions law that you have passed provides for such exemptions under existing laws. Mr. Speaker, the other initiative aimed at stimulating industrial growth that we have been actively promoting is automotive assembly and component manufacturing. It is universally recognized as a key strategic sector for stimulating industrial transformation. The comprehensive automotive development policy launched by government in August 2019 has undoubtedly been the catalyst that has attracted a record number of 12 original equipment manufacturers, including Volkswagen, Toyota, Suzuki, Nissan, Peugeot, Kia, Hyundai, Honda, to set up assembly plants and produce a range of models here in Ghana. The Speaker, it is noteworthy that these investments have been accompanied with complementary initiatives to build the necessary engineering and technical skills in Ghana. Toyota Ghana has partnered the School of Engineering Sciences of the University of Ghana to establish and operate a modern auto engineering training center for engineering students and the industry to acquire applied auto engineering training. Similarly, Kia Motor Company of Korea has upgraded the Rana Motors West African vehicle assembly with state-of-the-art equipment for training of auto repair and maintenance technicians, including repair and maintenance of electric vehicles. Mr. Speaker, to spur on industrialization, we're implementing the 4-project agenda of the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation, GIADEC, with projects 1 and 2 having already taken off. And last month, we signed an agreement for the implementation of Project 3. Mr. Speaker, we will lay before this august House, at this first meeting of this session of Parliament, a legislative instrument to prohibit the export of bauxite in its raw state. We're also in the concluding phase of discussions for the establishment of a $450 million United dollar refinery to refine the manganese we produce. Speaker, we have all long acknowledged the trade between African countries must increase if we are to make any headway with our dreams of prosperity on the continent. I'm happy to report as the market to aim at. Mr. Speaker, in speaking about the workspace and jobs, our thoughts inevitably turn to young people and, for some people, to the formal sector and formal sector jobs. We often forget the formal sector and domestic and international visitors has risen dramatically. A national newspaper reporting on activities at the Rivan Park had a screaming headline which said, "Akufo-Addo resurrects Nkrumah." That gave me pause for a moment. But on reflection, I decided I would accept it, be it a compliment or criticism or an addition to the collection of sayings by elders. Whatever it is, since the commissioning, there have been 208,557 domestic and international visitors to Dakar to the park between 14th July and 31st December 2023. Mr. Speaker, compare that, if you may, with the best performance until then, which was in the year of return in 2019, when there were 126,190 visitors in the year. Other facilities are being upgraded, and it's good to know that the private sector is showing interest in getting into the development of tourist attractive sites. Mr. Speaker, the National Museum Gallery, which had been closed down since 2015, has also been fully refurbished. It attracted over 35 visitors in 2023, and I'm particularly pleased the school children form a good part of the visitors to these sites. The first ever Kente Museum, aimed at preserving the cultural heritage in Ghana, has been built at Boonway in the Ashanti region and was recently commissioned by the Second Lady. Preparatory works and designs for the construction of the Heroes Park, a museum to commemorate the founding fathers of Ghana, the Big Six, J.B. Dankwa, Emmanuel Obechi-Bilamte, Edward Akufo-Addo, Ebenezer Akwaje, William Uforiatta, Kwame Nkrumah, were completed in December 2023, and construction will commence very soon. Mr. Speaker, government through the National Film Authority is committed to supporting the production of world-class content and films, as well as increasing the cinema infrastructure in Ghana and by extension on the continent. To this end, a favorable fiscal tax regime for cinema projects, including income tax and VAT incentives, import duty exemptions on film production equipment, 20% tax rebate for strategic film productions and film financing reliefs, is being elaborated by cabinet, which should be outdoored very soon and should provide another tangible reason for the choice of Ghana as a film production country. Mr. Speaker, in line with government's commitment to ensure gender equality, the revised National Gender Policy and the Affirmative Action Bill were approved by Cabinet in October 2023. The Affirmative Action Bill is currently before Parliament for consideration and approval, and we count on the support of members of Parliament for speedy passage of the bill. The Ghana Enterprise Agency, GEA, is implementing an Only Women Support Program where micro, small, and medium enterprises owned by women with the potential of scaling up their operations, increasing sales, and creating sustainable jobs will receive liquidity support. The GEA is also implementing the Youth Start program, a youth empowerment program which recently disbursed 100 million cedis to some 3,000 youth beneficiaries to upscale their businesses. Mr. Speaker, we're also implementing some interventions directed at providing support for persons with disabilities. In June last year, a significant boost was given to micro, small, and medium enterprises owned by persons with disabilities when government launched the 12 million CD PWD Enterprise Support Program. This grant support program, under the Ghana Transformative Project, is being funded with the support of the World Bank. Again, the Youth Employment Agency has initiated a groundbreaking employment drive targeting 282 persons with disabilities who used to work at poll booths. Speaker, let me now turn to football, a sport that is dear to the hearts of all Ghanaians. I'm sure I disclose no state secret if I state that I am myself an ardent football enthusiast and once played in the University of Ghana team with my friend, the late President John Evans Atta Mills, Fifi to me. Throughout the years, the national team, the Black Stars, has held a special place in the affection of Ghanaians. They lifted up our spirits as they dominated Africa and won 4 continental trophies. They have at other times broken our hearts, but it was not until 2006 that the Black Stars finally broke through to the world stage when they qualified for the World Cup for the first time. You'll remember that we
No.